Hey everyone, welcome to my world. So to start off this look, of course, I have to prime my eyelids. For that, I'm using the E.l.f. Camo Concealer in the shade Tan Latte, and I'm just putting that all over my eyelids. Now, this concealer is quite a few shades lighter than my actual skin tone, and if you have tan skin or a deeper complexion and you want to wear lighter eyeshadows, I recommend using a really light primer or concealer because then the eyeshadows will stand out more. Then to set the concealer, I'm going to be using the Makeup Revolution Shook Eyeshadow Palette. First, using the shade Compliment on a medium blender brush, I just apply that all over my brow bone and above the crease. By the way, as you can see, of course, I already have my brows done because it's pretty much the same thing that I do in every video, but I'll still have the product that I used in the description below. Then I went back into the palette and used the shade Fresh with the same brush. I just applied that only on the eyelid since it was a slightly lighter shade. Next up, I'm going to be using this e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadow quad in Very Bad. I started with the shade on the far left. It's a beautiful pale pink shade, and I applied that in my crease and slightly above it as a transition shade. But as I mentioned, it's very pale, so I had to really work with it to make it a little bit more visible. Also, my lighting on this day was not the best, so I do apologize. I wanted to film with a mix of natural light and the ring light, but then it started pouring rain and it became so dark outside. I was so bummed, but it was also the only time that I could film. Anyways, since this shade was really light, I then went in with this blush. This is the Wet n Wild Color Icon Blush in the shade Mellow Wine. And I also applied that on my crease to add a little bit more color to it. Then I went back into the bite-sized palette and now chose the darkest shade on the far right, and I'm also going to be applying that in the crease. First, I was applying it with a medium blender brush, but the color wasn't that visible, so then I went in with a crease shader brush instead, and that helped the color look a little bit more pigmented. Now I'm just taking the medium blender brush. It has no additional product, but I'm just blending out the edges so it doesn't look too harsh. Once that's done, I went back into the Shook palette and I used the shade Chemistry. This is a really pretty sparkly pale pink shade, and first I just applied it using my finger and I'm applying it to the center of my eyelid, but then I did go back in with a small flat brush, and it's actually a precision concealer brush, but I just use that to add a little bit more product and then blend out the shade into the rest of the shadow. Okay, so here I went back with the medium blender brush and a little bit of the darkest berry shade from the bite-sized quad for just one last time. I just still felt like the edges weren't blended out enough, so I just kept blending away until I was finally satisfied. Next up, for eyeliner, I used the e.l.f. Cosmetics Precision Liquid Eyeliner and just did my signature thin winged liner. You know what's so annoying? I've noticed that whenever I'm just kind of like playing around with makeup in my room, or just wearing it for a quick run to grab groceries or something, it usually turns out pretty good. But then when I'm trying to film a video or I'm going out someplace nice or seeing a friend, a situation where I want to look especially good, I always struggle with my liner. So yeah, I don't know, I just don't do well under pressure, I guess, and I just couldn't get it right on this day. I even thought about like making the whole wing a little thicker to resolve the issue, but that just kind of wasn't the look I was going for. So I did end up wiping it off and just redid the whole thing off camera. But now it's time to move on to under my eyes. So first I used a different concealer than I did in the beginning. So I used the Covergirl Trublend Undercover Concealer in the shade Warm Honey, and I just put a little bit under my eyes to brighten up the space. Now I usually apply this directly onto my cheeks as well and bring it a lot lower down than I did this time, but I just used it a little bit more sparingly because I kind of wanted to switch it up. And then for my lower lid, I use the e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadows again. I first went in with the light pink shade and then with the deeper berry shade. Once that was done, I actually put on these lash extensions by Cris Lashes on Amazon, but I'm going to skip through the application because I already did a full video reviewing the product. So if you want to know more and hear my thoughts, I'll link it for you. But this is what they look like, and I also put on some mascara on my bottom lashes as well. But now moving on to the rest of my face, I started with some primer. This is the Maybelline Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser, and I focused that mostly on my cheeks because my pores are huge. And to be honest, I don't know if I've noticed a difference when using this product, which is usually why I don't bother using it, but it has pretty good reviews, so it might just be me because I'm very self-conscious about my pores. But I also put a little bit on my forehead to help smoothen that area out as well because my skin there is very textured. And then for foundation today, I used the MAC Studio Sculpt foundation in NC45 and just blended that out with my trusty flat top brush. Then to set the foundation, I used the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Powder in the shade 334 Warm Sun. Next, I wanted to slightly contour my face, so I went back into the Shook eyeshadow palette and dipped my brush into both Sidetracked and Reckless and focused the product on the hollows of my cheeks. I also applied a little bit to my forehead. You may notice I don't always contour my nose. Like, I rarely ever do it in real life because I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to that. But yeah, that's why in some videos I'll try it, but for the most part, I just don't bother. Then just to finish off the eyes, I decided to add a little bit of highlight. So from the Makeup Revolution palette, I chose the shade Chick, and I'm just kidding. So I just chose the shade Chic and I just applied it under the arches of my eyebrows. I even randomly decided to put a little bit on the tip of my nose, but I think I may have gone a little bit overboard, but oh well. As for the lips, first I line my lips using the NARS lip liner in the shade Lérins? I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, so I do apologize, but it's a beautiful shade. They describe it on their website as a chestnut rose, and I really liked what it looked like on its own. I figured I should pair it with something, but I really couldn't find the ideal shade in my collection. I ended up going in with this Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid lipstick in the shade Veronica. And to be honest, I definitely think it was too bright of a pink, especially looking at the footage now. I preferred the way that it looked with just a lip liner, so if I did this look again, I'd probably skip the liquid lip or just change the lip combo. But anyways, here is the final makeup look. So that is all for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.